Comment. Here's your host, Kevin Haugen.
Well, thank you very much, and good afternoon. Welcome into today's Community Comment. Again, I am your host, Kevin Haugen. It's my pleasure to welcome into our Daily Dodge TV studio this afternoon our guest on the program this afternoon. The city administrator for Beaver Dam is, as always, the third Monday of the month is set aside for the city administrator to come in and give us updates on everything happening here in the great city of Beaver Dam. So I want to thank our guest again today, Nathan Thiel. Nathan, thank you so much for coming in today.
My pleasure, and Merry Christmas.
Yeah, it's a couple days next week.
Yeah,
right? I think
crazy.
9 days away. We're approaching. Are you all set? Gifts?
No. and my family would say that it's technically not Christmas till it snows. So, but no, we're getting ready.
I'm of the mindset that I'm totally fine with snow up until Christmas. After Christmas,
Afterwards, be done.
Yeah, but I have a feeling the way that this year's gone, I feel like we're going to get the opposite of that. There's been no snow so far. I feel like we're going to get all of that after Christmas, was when I'm done with winter at that point. So, unfortunately, I don't feel very lucky about having a white Christmas this year, unfortunately. But if you do have a question for our guest today here on Community Comment today, the phone numbers to get into the program are 887-9595, or you can text 885-4446. Again, the phone number is 887-9595. Excuse me, I get these crossed. I've gotten these crossed before, and I just realized I got them crossed again. The text line to get into the show is 887-9595. To call, you can call 885-4446. Again, the phone number to call in is 885-4446. I apologize. I just recognized that I got those crossed, so I want to make sure I get those correct. And again, want to thank Nathan Thiel. It's been 2 months since we've had the opportunity to sit down and chat, so a lot of stuff has happened here in the last 2 months here in the city.
A little bit. We've completed a budget, and everybody got their favorite Christmas present from I'm not going to say just the city, the school district, and the county as well, but. Things have moved along. The holidays, I mean, it just goes fast.
It's a blink, and next thing you know, it's going to be already 2025. So, a lot to get in here. We only have a short amount of time here with the city administrator, so let's dive right into our topics today. First of all, Nathan teased that a little bit. Everybody's favorite gift at this time of year. If you're a property owner here in the city of Beaver Dam, got ours, my wife and I, just a couple of days ago, so we were well aware. But the tax bills came out just not
they
too long
did.
ago.
I think a lot of people are at least pleasantly surprised. Our mill rate did go down a bit, about $1.40. Well, with everybody, it was about $2, just over $2, the mill rate. So that was good. That was a pleasant surprise. One thing that we get this question a lot. We had a printer this year sending out the bills, and you may have noticed that it didn't have both names of the property owner. Don't worry, we did not remove names from people's property titles. We can't do that. But the actual printer themselves, they just referenced one name. So if you saw one name and you're like, oh no, don't worry. The title has not been touched. You're still...
City Hall isn't making any changes to the ownership of the properties here in Beaver Dam.
We don't have that kind of power. But we're grateful that this year we were able to reduce the budget primarily with debt service. And in reducing that debt service, it brought down most people's taxes. Most individuals, their assessed values went up. And people always question, if my assessed value goes up, then are my taxes going to go down? But it just so happened that the numbers, they worked out, and we knew that going into it, but we're excited about that, and hopefully it will also provide a little bit of reprieve with the referendum passing for the middle school. So next year will be the time when that impact on the tax bill will take place.
Yeah, when with the tax bills going out, what is the deadline for people to swing by City Hall and get those payments in?
That is a great question, because that's something. So depending on, I can't give tax advice, but some people like to get it before the end of the year. Others like to pay it in the actual 2025 year. If you choose to pay in 2025, some choose to do a first and a second installment. So if you choose to pay at City Hall, you're going to need to pay by January 31st is the deadline. And then depending on whether you choose to pay it in full or pay in part, if you miss that deadline, or you're going to pay a part of it after that deadline, then you send it to the county. And that's important. If you send it to us, we can't do anything with it. It needs to be taken to the county for that final payment. So January 31st by the latest. If you talk with your tax advisor, they may suggest that you should pay it by the end of this year. Just noting, City Hall, we are closed both New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, and also Christmas Eve and Christmas. So if you stop by City Hall on the 24th and 25th, we're not going to be there. And same thing with the 31st and the 1st of January.
You also, Nathan, you'd mentioned talking about the tax bills and some of the changes and what people saw on those bills this year, and the help there with the mill rate this year. And that's all part of the budgeting process that has been ongoing for the last couple of months. Really comes to a close here in the month of November. Things get brought forward to the council and is ultimately approved and move forward and into next year. But I guess before we dive into the nitty gritty of the 2025 budget, just how did this process go this year, putting together the document, and was there anything that stood out to you during that time?
Yeah, that's a good question. This year was fairly simple. We've gotten into a good rhythm with our council and with the department heads. I think the biggest thing was, again, making sure that we've got enough revenues to cover the expenses at hand. We tried to keep things fairly high level as far as policy decisions. One thing that this doesn't necessarily impact your taxes, but individuals who live in the community, who pay water and sewer and so forth, their utility bills, that was a question of discussion. Our water bill, this year we decided to go to the PSC, or the Public Service Commission, to review our rates. We were well below our averages of comparable communities, with inflation and things of that nature, just things that had caught up, and we were seeing the expenditures exceed revenues, and so it required us to review the rates. And so that probably was the largest discussion that we had at council, and that will take place. We're going to be having a public hearing in January, and then the rates after that public hearing will probably be changed in that first quarter, and so individuals would see a rate change then taking place in the second quarter of the year. So be aware of that. I think it was like 31%. So I mean, it was if I recall correctly, it was a pretty significant shift. But again, I think it was about. I don't want to quote. I didn't bring the numbers with me. I should have thought about this beforehand. But I think in total with both sewer and water in a normal residence, I think it was like a $45 change in the course of the year. So anyway.
Gotcha. And I know that there's no way to make what we're about to talk about any exciting whatsoever, but we're going to have to find a way to do it. But let's ultimately dive into the numbers of the 2025 budget and highlight some of the more important things when it comes to that document. Yeah.
So, I highlighted again, primarily we had total expenses are going to be about $18 million in the general fund. Just over $4 million in debt service, but that was a reduction of about $1.6 million from the prior year, or 1.4. I apologize. And then our general fund revenues, other fund revenues, so not our property tax, that actually increased by about $800,000. So that's like your shared revenue, your transportation aids, things of that nature, charges for service. And so our general fund levy, or tax levy, actually reduced by about 1.6. So we were excited about that. That's what brought the mill rate basically down. And so, that's kind of the high level as far as the general fund budget.
Yeah, so just kind of going year over year, it looks like in 2023, the mill rates with the TID included was around $9.50 this year, right around $8.04. So just about $1.46 decrease there in that change.
And just to note that that's the city side, right? That doesn't include the county or the school district. which also they saw some relative reductions, but their reductions were more based on the change in assessed value. Whereas our change was an actual reduction that exceeded the assessed value. So, if you looked back on the previous page, basically people that had a median home. So in 2023, our median home value was about 177,000. In 2024, the assessment was around 193,000, and that change was just because of demand in housing. We've seen housing prices going up. And so, generally speaking, Beaver Dam, we anticipate about, your median home is about $193,000. The total impact on the city was then $137 reduction. So if you had a house that was at $193,000, you'd see your tax bill on the city side reduce $137.
Yeah, and a lot of these, like the $8.04 that we were just referencing, that's based off of a $1,000 of assessed value amount. So obviously those have to be adjusted based on how much value you have on your property.
Correct. It kind of helps. I mean, knowing that we're about 193, that it's almost 200,000, so that kind of helps a little bit. I think in our tax letter, we did give kind of that $100,000 level to just kind of help people see. But the reason why we use this median home is to be able to show kind of an apples to apples from year to year, so you can actually see whether you're going to see your tax bill go up or down, because we're comparing apples to apples.
We are with the Beaver Dam City Administrator, Nathan Thiel, here on Community Comment. The phone number, again, to get on is 885-4446 if you want to call, or you can text 887-9595 if you have a question for, again, our guest, Beaver Dam City Administrator Nathan Thiel, here on Community Comment. Up next, I want to spend a few moments talking about a study that's taking place, a fire hall study. What's the details there?
Yeah, so that was something that we did talk about during the budget process, and something worthwhile. In fact, there are probably two things that I would say are worthwhile to at least cover with regard to the budget, but one of them is the fire hall study. We actually have the fortune of being a pretty diverse fire department. We have 4 female officers, and that required us to reevaluate and look at kind of our actual facility itself. It was built, in the 60s. It's been a while, and doesn't necessarily have kind of the accommodations that we need today to. Back then it was primarily dominated by male officers. So changing rooms, lockers, things of that nature, even living quarters are limited. And so that precipitated us needing to ask the question, hey, we should probably look and evaluate our fire station. And besides that, there are other things that are a bit antiquated about the station itself. Again, it was, we've had it for a while. Well, which is good. We've utilized the facility. We've done some upgrades clearly over the years, but it's time to reevaluate. So the intent is to take past studies and kind of just do a refresh on it. So come January, we're planning on proceeding forward with that.
I mean, I don't know how much is left over from previous or chances to look at this particular topic, but I know that this might have been before your time. I know this was back when I was just starting here, so it went mostly over my head, so I don't have all the specifics off the top of my head right now. But I know a couple of years ago there was a lot of discussion and research went into building a potentially, I believe a second fire station. The north side of the city was looked at as a potential spot. Is that something that's going to be incorporated into this, this study?
That's going to be evaluated too as well. As I talk with my fire chief, again, that's why we study these things out. We go to experts, asking them for their advice. From our standpoint, we're not necessarily seeing the need to have 2 stations. But I will tell you that with the growth and development primarily happening towards the north, it does require kind of a shift or a thought process on where that station is best located. The complication with having a second station is it will require additional manpower. And so those are things that we need to take into consideration. It is nice to have a second station because it provides a greater spread, but that's not something necessarily that we're wanting to push forward. And really, we're just evaluating this current condition of the current station and how it meets our needs.
I know we're still here at the early onset of this initiative and are still, like you mentioned, this is kicking off in January. But is there a time frame or a time goal to have the study done and then present it to the council and then move things forward, or is it or is this still not at that stage?
No, this is really preliminary. We don't want to. We don't want to jump to any conclusions. Sure. It's kind of a fact finding effort at this point. And as we get more information, we know that we're not going to be able to, this is not a let's solve this in 10 years from now. This is let's figure out, let's make a plan and have a solution within the next 10 years. So.
You're with Beaver Dam City Administrator Nathan Thiel here on Community Comment. Shortly ago, Nathan, you had talked about just the need for housing here in our city and how important it is to bring in development projects and see that growth here in the city. And right now, work just began shortly ago here on a new housing project in the city. It's called Rivers Row. Yep. It's near Ryan Contafio's Way in the city of Beaver Dam. Used to be I believe, the old lot where the farmers market used to be held. But I will let the city administrator, who knows more than I do, share the details about this project.
Well, I don't know if I know more, and sometimes it's dangerous that I need to always fact check myself. But this property is at the corner of Center and Ryan Contafio's Way, so just across from the watermark. And we're really excited about this project with this developer. Originally, we were hoping that we'd be able to develop condos. Unfortunately, because of some regulations on the actual parcel itself, we did a whole bunch of cleaning. You probably saw it earlier this year. We were doing a bunch of demolition on the site. The whole intent of that effort was to make it a clean site. And for the most part, it is. The unfortunate thing is DNR, basically the Department of Natural Resources, once a site has been labeled as once having contamination, they're very protective in wanting to make sure that people are aware of what they're buying. And so the developer, as they evaluated this, they knew that it was going to be very hard for lenders to have that flag and to be able to sell these individual properties as condos. So currently, right now, we are the intent is to develop these townhomes, a row of townhomes, a total, I believe, of 24 units. You can see the picture of the development. So there's going to be 4 of these units of 6 units. On the site, the developer right now is getting the site prepared, getting utilities installed, kind of laying the groundwork with footings and foundations. And then the intent is this spring to start going vertical. So it will change the look and feel of the downtown and definitely be a benefit and to the area.
Yeah, I think if memory serves me correctly, the developer on the project said hopefully by next Christmas that we'll start seeing people living in these apartments. Obviously, things change with product and schedules and things. So obviously that might not end up happening, but obviously everybody is that's the intent, is having things up and ready to go by next Christmas. I'm
hopeful that by next Christmas the project will be complete. So.
And you brought up another interesting point about this site. A lot of money did go into researching and making sure the site is safe to build on, is safe to live on. It received, I believe it was called the Brownsfield grant from the DNR to research the site. It used to be an old car dealership or something, a lot of contaminants potentially in the ground, but a lot of work and a lot of research went into to clear up that site and get it ready for this housing project. Yeah,
downtowns, and especially when there's a lot of industrial in that downtown area, sometimes there are things in the ground that we need to clean up and change, especially in older communities like ours. And so this is exciting to see this site cleaned and developed And again, it's gonna change the look and feel of the downtown. So we're excited for it.
Just a few more minutes here left on today's community comment with our guest, Beaver Dam City Administrator Nathan Thiel. With that time, want to also highlight another exciting project that's been ongoing for the last couple of months here in the city of Beaver Dam, and still fundraising, still hoping to achieve all their goals to get this project all the way through to the end. But that's the work happening at the Beaver Dam Community Library.
Yeah, I never want to steal the thunder of Sarah, our library director, or also the library board, but I think this has been a great project, and the community has been so supportive. They've raised several $100,000. The library itself has an endowment fund that they've been saving over the years. And so I know you have displayed kind of the layout of the different areas of the library. I think the most significant change is going to be the entryway for the library. So instead of where it is now, where it's kind of tucked in the middle of the block, and kind of behind the building, depending on whether you're coming from Spring Street or whether you're coming from the parking lot. The entryway is going to change to be basically where the parking lot is, and so that's going to be a nice thing. It's going to make the building more usable. There's going to be an upgrade to the technology area. There's also going to be some more community rooms and spaces for community gathering. And just the general layout of the building is going to be better. And it's fortunate the city, we really did, the city council really does need to be applauded for being forward thinking and making it, the library board was kind of waiting on this project because there was a leaky roof. Yep. And it had been leaky for a very long time. So that project got done this year. It's looking great. They had a lot of rain this year, and we've been dry. So that's just been amazing.
Yeah, and I believe was it ARPA dollars that was used to, or was it was it a part of the capital improvement?
Yeah, that was a part of the capital improvement plan from the city, and it was $1.2 million. So it was an investment on this from the city council standpoint, but I believe a good investment, and the community's really come out and they've supported this project. Appreciate all the individuals who've made donations, and again still accepting donations. But with the trajectory, the library board is intent on doing the whole renovation. Yep. That's exciting. Whereas they were kind of thinking, well, it depends on kind of the response we get from the public. We may only do parts and pieces of it. But to see the whole renovation, I think it's going to be a real game changer for the library.
Yeah, it's exciting seeing. We get a lot of updates from the folks at the library about all the donations that they've gotten over the last couple of months. I feel like every week we get a new press release about another several $1,000s donation being put towards the library. So that is exciting to see the support that the community has shown for this project, and we all can't wait to see what this will look like when it's all said and done and be able to enjoy the new amenities there at the Beaver Dam Community Library. But we are out of time today here on Community Comment. Want to, again, thank our guest here, Beaver Dam City Administrator Nathan Thiel. Nathan, again, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure.
And that will do it for today's Community Comment.
you